Good afternoon all. So in the last session we have seen numerical example for back propagation algorithm. So in today's session we'll see the associative memories. So as part of this associative memory, the memory is classified into two types. One is short-term memory and the other one is long-term memory. So generally it is associative memory also it is similar to our human brain in neural network. Associative memory is similar to our human brain activity. So as it is showing like short-term memory, long-term memory. Short-term memory means even if you take one example, few things we will do repeatedly. Even though we are doing it repeatedly, we do not remember those activities or those patterns or those things because it stores in the short-term memory. We are not having any strong association with that patterns or that activities. That's why it is not storing in long term. As an example, if you take so what breakfast or what is your menu for lunch or dinner, if you ask by today itself means, then you may are able to answer. But what is the lunch menu for uh, on particular day like last week Thursday lunch or Saturday lunch? If you're asking like that, even though we are doing it repeatedly, and those are small things, but we will not remember even yesterday's lunch menu also. So, like because those things are storing in the short-term memory. So today we will do our lunch, and we'll forget about that. We will not remember those activities. That's why those are going into the short-term memory. If you are asking today's lunch menu in by the evening means I may able to answer that lunch menu, but tomorrow I may not. So that recall process also will not be there. If it is long-term memory means it stores in the for after few years also if you ask something about that you are able to recollect that. So that is a long-term memory. For example, you are when you are entered into this triple IT Basar, you definitely don't forget that. Or what is your passing year of 10th class? What is the percentage of 10th class? That we are doing it rarely. If we enter and we may or may not uh, write it again and again like our daily activities, but we will remember those things because those are stored into the long-term memory while we are storing that memory or while we are feeding that memory into the brain. We'll do like that. Our percentages we do not forget, our graduation years we do not forget. So these are the few examples which we do not repeat many times, but we do remember our birthdays or our friends birthdays. Even few people may not remember those things also, birthdays of many people. Few people will remember birthdays of many people and they'll wish on their birthdays. So depends on our memory activities, depends on how we are taking the things into our brain, patterns into our brain. Depends on that corresponding patterns or activities will be stored either into the short-term memory or into the long-term memory. So that association is very very important. In a similar way, if you see the characteristics of associative memory, because association here, association doesn't mean that simply We are not storing one activity or one pattern like into one particular address. All of us know that computers have large memory in gigadatas. Even if we have MBs of data or memory, you can add some external memory also. External hard disk memory, external hard disk memory, 500 GB, 1 TB. So all these are the memories. But in computers, generally how these activities or patterns will be stored means will give particular location, one stock file, one particular location will be there. Into that location, maybe 4001X. To that particular location, this particular information need to be stored. When we are retrieving that information also, we will retrieve the information by pointing out that address. So in that address 4001X, in that address this related information is there. That communication will be there by the computer hard disk. So that's why the processor will do this in this process. Computer is very well organized. Addresses are there. From that addresses we will retrieve the data. But our human brain is not similar to that organized memory locations. It is highly distributed, and even our memories can be, our patterns or activities can be stored in multiple places, in different locations. It's not in the ordered manner. So that's a difference from the computer to normal human brain. So there are few characteristics of this associative memory. See, associative memory means here, so with some association, if you are able to memorize the things, then it will store for long term. Anyway, like computer, we are not going to do that retrieving the data from particular location. Even it is impossible also. This data is there at this part of the human brain like that. So as an associative memory, if you have some association, sorry, for example, if you see that what is the best example for associative memory is, if one student comes in front of the teacher after a few years or after 3 days after his graduation, if he comes in front of the teacher, then the teacher may not immediately recollect the student's name, but his pattern, his appearance may get into the brain. And what are the association? Yes, I have seen him in particular class, so he is from that particular branch. Like that, the teacher able to recollect or retrieve the information. Here his appearance or his pattern, that student's pattern is the input to the human brain. Then it is going to recollect with that association means it's not going to directly to that particular address, it is going through the association means here in which year, in which university, which class or which branch. Maybe in the class also, maybe he's sitting at the last or in the front or at right side or left side. Like that, all these are the associations. With this association, the person able to recognize, or the teacher is going to recognize that person. So based on all these associative memories, maybe he belongs to the triple E branch in so and so particular class. It's not directly going to the directly uh, recognizing his face with the addresses. So that's called the associative memory. With some association, if you are able to memorize the things, if with some association we are going to retrieve the data. So that's what the associative memory. So if you see the characteristics of this associative memory, this memory is highly distributed. So it's not highly distributed in multiple locations. And multiple location means in different locations it is going to store. It's not particularly ordered memory. So if you see, if you take that input activity pattern as a phase of the student in the earlier example, it is trying to map that input activity pattern. That is nothing but his face. Trying to his or her face is going to trying to map with the output activity pattern. Output activity pattern here it is retrieving the information from the human brain or from the network. If you are giving some input data, corresponding to that input data, corresponding to that input vector, we need to get one output pattern or output activity. So in between what we have only connection link weights. That connection link weights need to be set accordingly for certain input patterns, certain output patterns need to get it with some association. Associations here it is nothing but based on the connection link weights. So by properly mapping the input to the output, we are going to recollect or retrieve the data in the associative memory. So that stimulus pattern and a response pattern in the form of data vectors here. So that input and output are the data vectors. In that stimulus pattern means the appearance of the particular object or students or person. And the response pattern may be instead of telling only one particular thing about that person, you are belongs to that particular branch, we can say that he is sitting in the front, or last but one row on left side, right side. So particular response pattern also we are going to get it with this associative memories. That information contained in a stimulus determines its address of retrieval. So whatever the information available in the stimulus pattern, maybe person means face, pattern recognition. If it is object means corresponding to that object, we are going to retrieve the data, address of that retrieval. It means if you take that mobile, just by seeing that mobile, or just by seeing some other object like any one particular dress. This dress I have seen some shop. What you uh, particular mobile or particular dress I have seen in that particular shop, in that particular floor. So even though I went for shopping, at that time I'm unable to purchase that particular dress what you have wear. So like that, either it may be pattern or it may be object. There are particular associations. Based on the particular associations, we are trying to retrieve that data. So there is a high degree of resistance to the noise. Associative memory in the disturbed environment also, there is a high degree of resistance to noise means in the disturbed environment also, even in the disturbed environment also, we are trying to retrieve the data. So that's what it is, high resistance to the noise. Even neurons are high resistance to the noise, all the neurons. And there is a high degree of interactions between the patterns. Hence, it leads to the errors during the recall process. So this also there are chances. So it has, this associative memory has high degree of interactions, high degree of interactions between the patterns. One pattern to other pattern, it has high degree of interaction. That's why that recollection process is a little faster, as well as it is will be there for long term. But during this process, it leads to errors during the recall process. In the earlier example itself, if I see particular person, or you might have also experienced, one person may come to us that as and he may ask us that I have seen you somewhere. Are you working in software some industry, or are you belongs to this particular village, like that? Because his pattern recognition, his associative memory network is remembering our face patterns with the other particular person which are having common features. One more person maybe might be look similar to us based on that memory patterns. This particular person is asking us, or you belongs to this village, or you the son of so and so person, like that. Because that is wrong. But he's trying to recollect, or are you particular person of this village? You're not belongs to that village. Are you from uh, Bangalore? But we belongs to Telangana. So based on this pattern recognition, as it is having more interactions between the patterns, so that may sometimes leads to some errors during the recall process also, because of these associations, that input pattern, it is similar to the one face is similar, most of the features are similar to that other person, means there is a chances of getting errors during the recall process. So the associative memory, we see further, the pattern association is the process of forming association between the related patterns. So it is a process of forming association between the related patterns. With that related patterns only, we are going to retrieve the data. The pattern that has to be associated may be of same type or different type. Even if you take the example in the neural network, that association may be of same type and different type, means, like I told you, normal example, the same type means if you are by taking that pattern as an example, particular person face an example, we may get the exactly, we can map that face with our memorized face, or we can simply say that yes, you are belongs to this village. We are not going to tell his name of different type. Even if you give the in the neural network, if you see that if you give some 1 by 6 vector as an input, if you are getting 1 by 6 vector as the same output, then that is of same type pattern recognition. But if we provide the 1 by 6 vector as an input, but if you are getting the 2 by 6 vector as an output, or 1 by 3 vector as an output, that is of different type of association. So the associative memory net can be seen as a simplified model of the human brain which can associate similar patterns. Like we were seeing example, it is similar to the human brain. The associative neural nets are single layer nets in which the weights are determined to store the assets of pattern association. Most of the times these associative neural networks have, have computations in single layer. That's why these are single layer neural net. Nets is nothing but networks or single layer neural network models. And here the weights need to be determined to store that particular assets of patterns association. So corresponding to that particular weights set, there is one particular mapping between the input pattern and output pattern. For example, if you say that uh, one particular set of x1, x2, x3 vectors are there. Corresponding to that, the connection link weights are maybe w1, w2, w3. All the vector, all the weights connected from input to output layer having one particular values. Then corresponding to that values, you may get one output vector as y1, y2. So this is called pattern association from input to output with respect to the corresponding connection link weights. The types of associative memory networks. The associative nets are mainly consist of two types of nets. If the input vector pair is same as the output vector pair, then it results in an auto-associative net. Auto-associative net means both input vector pair and output vector should be same. Whereas if the input vector pair is different from that of the output vector pair, then it forms a hetero-associative net. Just now we have seen that by giving 1 by 6 as input, if you are getting 1 by 6 as the output vectors. Auto-associative net. If you are for 1 by 6 vector input, if you are getting 1 by 3 vector as an output, then that is hetero-associative net. So here bidirectional associative memory is the example of the hetero-associative net. We will see that bidirectional associative memory also. So these are the things about the associative memory networks. Thank you.